This is Tabletop Time. I'm Dave.
I'm Jen. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about these awesome color cubes and how I've used them in some painting.
Hey, I've seen them. They're from that Ninjon video and from our living room.
They sure are.
And we're also going to be catching up on all of the massive reveals that happened over the weekend. We've got stuff for Horus Heresy, stuff for Age of Sigmar, and really excited to talk about it. But first, Jen's dived into these color cubes, painted up some models, and you've got a lot to tell us, right?
Yeah, I do, but we need a coffee.
You're right. Let's go.
It's a lovely day for a walk.
Oh, I really needed this coffee.
Oh, oopsie daisies.
Ah, that's hot. Ah!
But watch out for the old lady crossing the road.
You mean old lady? Oh my god! Oh, it's stuck under the brake pedal.
Oh,
Coffee's under the brake pedal.
But the lady...
The coffee's under the brake pedal.
Oh, what? You gotta stop though.
I can't. I'm sorry, Bessie.
Oh, hey, how'd your court hearing go?
$500 fine and a suspended sentence.
Oh, awesome, dude. Like Megan.
She's dead.
No
though.
worry. What? So we received these color cubes about a year ago from Sarah Renee Clark, and I've used them a little bit in my personal hobby, but today I'm going to take you guys through how I used these in our miniature painting.
Yeah, it was actually really funny seeing this color cube come up on Ninjon's video, because Sarah Renee Clark is an Australian artist who created these cubes and has visited the studio on several occasions and actually personally gifted Jen and I one of these cubes, which we've taken home and used, and we thought they're really cool. We'd actually talked about how they could be used to create color palettes before, so it was just super funny to see it pop up on Ninjon's thing. I'm like, we've been sitting on that for ages. Not that we were gonna make a video with it, but because he used it in such an interesting way, we wanted to take another look at that and kind of talk to you all about, well, how you could use it in a different way. Why is it different? What are we doing? What did you do?
So I really quickly want to run you through what is in these actual cubes and what they look like. So we have version 1 and version 2 here, and they have different color palettes inside them. And so opening these up, you get a bunch of really cool cards in them, and there's so many of these in here and they're all completely different. There are two sides to your card. On one side you have an image, and most of these images are based around like nature or things that exist in real life, as well as just some color swatches down the bottom. And then on the back you've got all of your hex codes, so if you're someone that does graphic design, these can be really useful. And it's also got a couple of options for your tones too. I like to play this really fun game when I was trying to pick out my colors. I'd be looking on this side where all the tonal ranges are and try to think of what the actual image is on the back. And I got it wrong a lot of the time. I think that something was like a flower and it turned out to be candy or something really cool. So it's a really fun little game you can play as well with these cards.
So it's really interesting because people who come from a more artistic background, we've talked about this a few times, often come with a bit of knowledge regarding color theory. They get taught the foundational principles of art. But I'd say most people who are miniature painters don't come from that background. Most people come from a wargaming background, sci-fi, pop culture, etc., model making. So learning good color theory can be a big challenge where you go, well, I'm trying to come up with a color scheme for my army, but what colors do I pick? So just out of the packet, being able to look at a bunch of different colors is really fun. Because I already look at this, I'm like, that's basically my Trader Guard color scheme, like right there. And that's why it worked. I didn't know that's why it worked, but they just complement each other.
So in Ninjon's video, he actually took the colors that from the swatch palettes and used them for each different type of fabric or skin and made it the volume, so to speak.
When you say all the different values or volumes, do you mean that he took like leather and then would use all the colors on this to do like the shading and highlighting on the leather?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Whereas you wanted to use them differently.
Yes.
So how did you use them?
So I wanted to use each individual color as a particular part on the model. So for example, like to use red as cloth.
So that's kind of vibing a little bit like Dawn of War or something, where you got like your colors for like your primary color, your secondary color, your trim, treating it like that.
Yeah, kind of like if you can have the normal version, but you can have the hyper color version, I suppose. So that's the cards, pretty much done. So how did I apply these to a model? So the first model that I decided to make was some of the Warhammer Underworlds models. And I thought they were really cool, so I could use the colors in a really interesting way. And the first one I picked was the Skaven from the big Warhammer Underworlds box that came out.
This looks so good. And I know you didn't you didn't spend a huge amount of time on these, right?
No, I spent probably about 2 to 3 hours on each model, I think.
So we're starting with the Skaven, and I can just say off the bat, looking at it, the way, the color choices are just perfect. It just has this really good vibe.
So for this one, I used this a coffee color palette, and when I saw this and saw the Skaven model, I knew that they would work really well together. So this was more of an easy match for me. I will say for this sort of challenge, I gave myself a couple of little rules. First of all, I could use black and white in my creations because I thought that would make it fair for the different tonal ranges that there were, as well as not using any metallics. If I wanted to use a metallic, I'd have to do a non-metallic metal method.
Oh my gosh, I've just realized that on the back they also have 3 different like shades, light to dark, of each color. That's cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the Skaven, it was pretty much following a guide. Like the lightest color was his skin, so that made a lot of sense. The red for the cloak for me again made sense. Brown fur, and then I used the 2 sort of darker colors as a silver, which was on all of the metal that he had on his character.
So did you try and pair your models to the swatches you pulled, or did you pull a swatch and then find a model that fit the swatch? Which way did you do it?
I kind of did a bit of both, to be honest. Well, first I pulled the swatches that I thought looked the nicest. That also was a bit of a challenge. And then I paired them up to the models and kind of went, I think this is gonna be a good match.
So this is kind of like beginner's guide to color theory is the way you're treating it. Like,
yes.
You can grab one of these cards and know that if you like the look of those colors and you stick to those colors, your outcome is going to look pretty cohesive. Okay, that's cool.
I did, however, find something that was a bit challenging in this was working with different color palettes. So some of these are brighter in tone and also are more pastel in tone versus something that's a bit darker or monochrome. So the next model that I did was the Ghost, and she has a very like pastel color palette, and I thought it was really pretty, but I knew this was going to be quite a challenge to work with because there's no real dark range in here. It kind of goes a bit more grayish than it does giving it actual saturation. There's also 6 colors in this one. So for most of them you get the choice of 5, but some of them you get 6. So I had to find a way to incorporate all 6 colors into this model. So the first thing I did to sort of start painting it really to get paint onto the mini was thinking about, well, what colors actually exist in this model. And I knew that I wanted the vines to be green because really they're green, and the roses to be red. That made sense. And from there I kind of played with the other colors, and in the end I decided that her skin would be that greeny sort of tone, and then try to do a gradient of blue to purple on the cloak.
What I like is that while this is a really unnatural color palette, like it's not something that you would see or would expect to see on like a human character, you can sort of see the strength of using color theory like this because as a swatch taken as like an image, everything blends really cohesively. Like from the roses to the green, the way they bounce off the purple, you can just see that there's no one color that you can pick out as being like, that's a bit weird, you know, that doesn't work. It all sort of works together.
Yeah, it all keeps within the same tone, if that makes sense. And with this one, I did have to darken it a little bit and then work back up to that base color. I didn't add any white to this one. I definitely went back up because I didn't want to lose any of that saturation that I had.
Now, there is a challenge for so many people for many, many years, both for Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines. Players have been encouraged to make their own chapters or warbands and create color schemes. And Games Workshop's favorite color scheme is, of course, like red and bronze, red and gold. So many factions end up red and like gold, or black and red is the other one. So I remember I set the challenge about where you were picking out these things. I said, can you do a Space Marine? Can you grab a swatch that's like colors you've never seen a Space Marine be, and what do you come up with?
So for this one, I grabbed this rainbow.
Okay.
I grabbed this rainbow looking swatch because, well, I think rainbow colors really cool. Gave me lots to work with.
You could have done Rainbow Marines.
I could have done Rainbow Marines, and I thought about it very hard, but I decided to go more Emperor's Children-ish, which is one of my favorite factions of Space Marines, and I decided to paint a purple Marine. Yay! And I think there were a couple of reasons reasons I made this choice, again, having an art background helps a lot. So I painted in purple because I knew I could use the orange and the gold as the non-metallic metal, and purple and orange are complementary colors on the color wheel. So if I lined everything in the orange, they'd be complementary colors.
It's interesting as well, looking at this swatch and talking about non-metallic metal, is it doesn't have to be non-metallic metal. So you could use gold and orange as like a orangey gold metallic, like Retributor armor with Reikland flesh shade on it, or gold as a more traditional Balthazar, maybe auric armor sort of tones. So you can use metallics as these colors. What is kind of funny is this is my Alpha Legion colors. So we have green plasma, purple to teal is their armor, orange is their lenses, red is their cabling, and yellow is nothing.
You've painted rainbow marines without even thinking about it.
But they work together. The colors go together well.
They do, and I think this particular palette as well wasn't too bright or too dark. It has a pretty good like middle range of saturation and contrast as well. And something that I love doing is the power swords, the old school like dark to light on either side.
Yes.
So I saw the mint color and I was like, oh, that would make a really cool power sword. So I kept it for that one. And then green is like the accent color for this particular guy.
Yeah, the power sword in particular looks really good. I think that mint colored power sword works really well with the purple, and maybe a tip that Horus Heresy players, if you want some power swords for your Emperor children, mint could be on the menu. An interesting Space Marine. I don't know how I feel about the like neon green and the on the shoulder pad.
For me, it reminds me very much of Rogue Hobby's style of painting. It's very bright and colorful, and I've been kind of thinking that the way I paint is a bit muddy sometimes, a bit dark. So I want to say overall, this entire experience has actually changed the way I want to paint things. I think I paint too dark, and I start from a really dark place as well, just in paints. And I think...
Not in humor. We don't have to do jokes about running over old ladies or anything.
Yeah, no. Why would we do that? But this exercise just taught me to start from a base color and to try and bring in more color into your minis. So I love this concept. I think if you can get your hands on these and it's something you want to experiment with, absolutely you should give it a try. Even if you're someone that's like a veteran or you're getting into it for the first time and you sort of struggle with color theory, either way, these are pretty valuable piece of resource for a painter and miniature painter.
They're a really good art device and a really good product. I think they're super cool. I'm similar. I want to start painting brighter. All my armies are so grungy, and I think starting at a mid-tone and bringing to highlights rather than sort of starting at a shade and then painting all the way through is just going to work for me better. Yeah, and if you are interested in these, we're going to put a link in the description, but full disclosure for those, it will be an affiliate link. So if you do order one through that link, we will get a kickback. This was genuinely prompted by the fact we saw Ninjon's video. We've had these cubes for like a year, but Sarah Renee Clark is an absolutely lovely YouTuber, and if you do want to pick them up, she has an affiliate program, so we get a bit of a kickback, which helps support the channel. If not, that's fine. There's plenty of other things for us to talk about and do, and Kiev.
So moving on to our news of the week, Warhammer had a massive release for Age of Sigmar and a bunch of other of their systems as well, like the 40k and the other stuff too.
We had a huge weekend of reveals, and as is probably old news by now because it was on Friday for many, Skaven Tide has come out, which is the terribly named amazing box of the 4th edition starter set because they trademarked away Vermintide to a video game, which is fair enough. But you did have Rat Apocalypse right there for you to use. Ratastrophe. I like Ratastrophe. I would have called the box.
So good.
Ratastrophe.
I love
and look, we finally got the full reveal of everything that's coming out. It's probably the biggest Age of Sigmar starter box ever.
Yeah, I think you can compare it to the Leviathan box in a way, where I think you're going to get these two spearhead companies, so you get the Skaven and the Stormcasters, plus the terrain, the core book, blah, 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 blah.
And also, surprisingly, the entire spearhead book as well. So there's 2 books.
Yeah, so it really depends. I think the community is a bit mixed on this. If you love both the factions and you want everything in the box, then sure, it seems all right.
I've only heard positivity.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I think people are adjusted. Like, people expected Leviathan-sized prices. People expect Games Workshop prices are going to be expensive, and people know that if it's a GW Giant launch box, it's expensive. But even from the feedback on our recent video, where people were sort of saying that they liked the battalion boxes, I think the value added just makes it worth it. Like, because it would be so much more expensive to buy everything else outside the box, people still think they're kind of cool. Even at $450 $450 Australian dollars.
Well, I mean, Leviathan sold out.
They were at $420 or something.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So.
And this has more in it than Leviathan. It's got a whole nother hardcover book. In terms of the minis, I love the new Stormcast. We've got that Lord Vigilant on the Crow, which hilariously and has been memed to death, has a bent sword. I feel sorry. Axe. I feel sorry for the design team for that one. Someone dropped that.
Dropped the axe.
Dropped the ball on the axe. I don't know. And then we also have the cool Lord Terminos. And I just like him because he executes Stormcast Eternals.
And the story that they have with their little guy as well that kind of keeps them sane is, I think that's really flavorful and fun.
Yeah, so this dude basically gives the final rest to any Stormcast who have like gone mad or are ready to die and stop fighting eternally. He kind of gives them the big axe. He fires them big time.
He asks them the question.
Probably my favorite mini of the box and the biggest glow up is the Lord Veritant, which is an existing kit, or it's a remake of an existing kit, and this model is gorgeous. I think this is going to look so good with one of my hoods and like the blackened face, like Diablo Angel style.
Yeah, I want to know why he's got the bandage.
So he can use his spirit sight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spirit sight or something. Then we have this Knight Questor who's looking like a model straight out of Warhammer Quest.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I can see a diorama with this guy though that's like peeking into a hole or something with like the Skaven coming out of it. I don't know, he's in a really cool pose. I really like this guy.
It's a cool pose. I think this is probably suffering from GW photography a little bit. I don't think this is the best angle because he looks kind of bricked off and square. I'm sure he's a bit more dynamic when you look at the 360. That leads to the Reclusians, which are the heavy armored. I guess they're a bit like the Praetors in the last box. 3 elite models, bodyguard models, so they should be pretty spicy. My favorite thing, the prosecutors. I've wanted prosecutors as the core of my army for so long. I love the angel vibe. I mean, the Diablo thing. These are great. I do prefer the original Light Wings. I think we talked about the prosecutors before because they'd already been revealed. But yeah, really excited to see them coming out. I've got some big plans for painting them up. And even for this whole box, Games Workshop will probably send us this box and I will be adding to my Twilight Sentinels and getting ready for 4th edition.
I will say I love the particular scene in the rendered opening where one of the prosecutors spears one of the rats up in the sky and it just falls down to the ground. I thought that was really cool.
We've also got the Liberators and I think they look pretty good. I do think their hammers haven't been rescaled. I prefer the tower shields. I would have liked their shield to be different from the whatever the guys with the spears are called, Justicars, Ludicars, Mudicars. It's a million Caters and cars. Can't keep track of them all. The ones with the spear and shield. I prefer the original Liberator shields.
Yep.
And the ones with 2 hammers look kind of dorky because the hammers look a bit too big, I think. They're a bit massive.
A bit Warcrafty in a way.
Yeah. And then we have the rats.
Rats! I think these are kind of cool.
They're cool models.
Yeah.
They're like Tyranids. I'm glad that they exist so I can kill them.
I feel like, again, rats or Skaven, I often see them in painting competitions. I think they make a really good addition because they've got so many textures on them. So I reckon we'll see a couple in like Gold Demon next year.
So first we have the Claw Lord on Norby.
Yeah, this actually reminds me a lot of the starting model that came with Dominion. The I was going to call them Mad Lads because they're Jazz's Mad Lads. That's not what they're called.
Cruel Boys.
Cruel Boys.
The guy on the great boss Nash tooth thing, right?
Yeah. I think it's just a similar pose where it's slightly up on something and then he's like pointing. He's got like a staff or something. It just looks really similar.
What did I say when we watched the reveals? I was like, there's their guy on mount with polearm that is raised.
Yes.
Like every faction needs to have guy on mount with sword or spear.
Yeah.
That's the rats
on
guy.
A slight angle, yeah.
Wearing Vampire Count's armor.
Which is great.
Genuinely to me it looks
Probably
like it is Vampire Count's armor.
Probably is.
He took it from the old world. But no, genuinely a really cool thing, and I like the story behind the rat thing. So like people have said that the big rat looks hungry, but he's got like a wasting disease. So that rat always wants to eat more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very, very rat of him. Next up we have Gracia, and as soon as I saw this model, I fell in love with it. I'm not a big Skaven player, but for some reason, this I think just looks absolutely gorgeous. Again, I can see this being entered into Golden Demon. Pose is gorgeous. He just looks like a really cool model. Lots of fun textures to play with.
Does it not look a bit like a goat to you?
I mean a little, because his horns have always sort of been like that.
And the nose, it just, to me, it has like goat vibes.
Yeah, I could see him being in Diablo.
Yeah, as a goat man.
As a goat man, yeah.
Yeah, he's very cool, but I do think in his head I get strong Beastman vibes.
I think he's awesome. I kind of want this model.
I think he's one of the nicest models in the box.
Yes.
Got that Warplock Engineer, we've seen that one before, and the Rattling warp blaster. I mean, it's cool. Something.
Yeah.
It's a rat device.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a pretty great model.
Yeah, I think all of these are a really cool box, and I'm really glad that the Skaven got an update regardless. They really did need it, and I think that these additions are really fun.
One thing I really like in the box is all of the spearhead stuff coming. So if you get the box, not only can you play with the 2 spearheads in the box, you'll also have the full rules, the cards, the board, everything you need to play spearhead games. We have actually played spearhead. We had the privilege of getting to play some games of Spearhead and trial them, and I have to say I had a lot of fun. I think the experience is really cool. I can see what the team seem to be going for. It feels like with every iteration of this game, they're kind of improving on the last. So this feels like concepts that led to Combat Patrol for 40k, but better realized and properly utilized in a way that I actually can see myself playing multiple games of Spearhead, whereas Combat Patrol kind of petered out for me. But it was like, okay, that's solved. I only can play one way. It's not very dynamic, blah.
Yeah, Spearhead made me think about the armies that I have and potentially would want to collect, and not being afraid to get into multiple armies as long as you finish painting the first one.
What's also cool about this is it means that in a friendship group, let's say there's 4 people who want to get into Age of Sigmar. 2 of them, one likes rats, one likes Stormcast. They buy the box and split it, and then their 2 friends can then go and just buy a Spearhead, and they have all the rules for all of the factions. So as a little community, they can keep their buy-in a bit lower. They can paint up their spearheads, and they can all just play Spearhead together. It
makes tournament play way more appealing, because then you can all start escalation, and makes an easier starting point for everyone.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But look, it's no surprise that Age of Sigmar is my second love. There were more reveals over the weekend.
Oh, and so we made a promise to each other. So for us, the Warhammer preview didn't view until 3:45 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Really early in the morning.
And so there was no way we were staying up for that. So we made a promise to each other that we would wake up, make breakfast, not look at our phone so we didn't spoil anything, and go straight to watching the preview. And we managed it.
We did. It was great. We stayed off our phones and we watched the preview, and it was really entertaining. It's funny, at Adepticon, I hated the way Games Workshop did the preview because it felt like I was being robbed of a live event experience. But this time I enjoyed it because I actually thought that they put together a really good presentation, and because it wasn't something happening, I wasn't at an event with physical people presenting something, I didn't miss that I was at an event with physical people. I was like, it's just a good show. So I actually liked it this time around, and also really good job, because I know Games Workshop staff watch our videos. So I want to say really good job on just making the conversation a little bit tighter, because I do remember the Adepticon one, we were there for an hour and a half, and it was half an hour of talking about that woman with the spear that mutates her, and we kind of hit the same talking points 3 times on the same character. This was much more concise, delivered talking points. It was just better.
And the turnarounds were really good too. We got to see the models and everything. It was really nice. And there was something for everyone in this one, at least for both of us. We were really excited. The first point we're going to talk about is the new Adeptus Sororitas.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Sisters are getting a codex. That means we're going to have Sisters versus Guard, but Guard need a codex.
Guard need a codex.
And then we'll have a battle report?
Yeah, maybe. Unless play Chaos.
Battle report.
Yeah, battle report soon. Okay. So we got a new Canoness with Jump Pack, and for me, this came at a perfect time. I was actually thinking about adding in some Seraphon, because I already have 1 unit, but I want more of them. I think they're really cool, and they've performed pretty well in my games. So I want more. So they're releasing a box with a bunch of Seraphon and the tank. Zephyrum, that's it. I can never say their name. But they're coming with a Canoness to lead them all. And before, you could only take Saint Celestine. So you now have another option, and I actually really like this.
You want to do the Angel Brigade?
I kind of do.
Which is kind of cool, because now you can have Celestine pushing one front with the Canoness leading another. They said in their video oh, it's great, you can have multiple Canonesses. I know that that's tactically how you play 40k. I'm such a nerd where I'm but isn't the Canoness the leader? Yeah. So why would you have 3 on the one battlefield?
I want one.
And Celestine,
and Celestine, yeah. I want
sense.
One. I don't want 2 Canonesses. I also don't particularly like the original Canoness model, the one that they have now. I actually like this one more.
I don't like this model.
Talk me through it.
I hate the pose. It's the classic leaning off some debris. And then she's trying to have her golden angle in her front of her body in shot and beautifully well done. But it means that to me, it looks like she's sort of bending her back up at a weird angle. Yes. And I'm just not into it.
So this could be another bad photo angle. I think I would potentially take her off that, tilt her up, make her look more sort of holy.
Shooting up, yeah.
Yeah. The other one that they've got with the chainsword, I feel like it's much worse where she looks like she's falling off of her little bit of terrain. So I don't love that one as much, but I do think regardless, I really want this box. I think it's really cool. And for me personally, it works really well. The last thing I do want to mention about this is something that I'm a little bit sad about is our codex has reused art on it. And for me, look, it's a little bit of a deal because I love looking at new art. So I was really excited for a new piece of art for the sisters, but they reused the old one. I don't own the old codex. So for me, again, I'm like, that kind of sucks, but whatever. When Sisters came out, they got a bunch of new art anyway.
Is that because you got the limited edition launch codex, then didn't paint enough to need to buy the 9th edition codex, and now it's 10th edition?
Correct, yes. So it's a little bit sad, but at the same time, I'm interested to see what the limited edition codex will look like. So maybe that's a little incentive to buy the limited edition one. I don't know. But other than that, I'm pretty happy.
Do you ever really think they're worth it? They're like double the retail
Depends
price.
what's on the art on the cover.
I've never been able to justify it. I just look at it and I'm like, I mean, if that's for you, that's for you.
We'll see.
But, you know, we also had some more for 40k. We had Gene Stealer Cults. It feels like AdMech and Necron's time because we're in that like one codex, one model who also get a character. They also get a battalion. They got the big brain, which is going to spawn plenty of memes about like, you know,
big brain energy,
5 head, big things. There's a lot happening. They have some new art. I actually like their codex art. They have a new battalion. To be honest, we don't really care about Gene Stealer Cult here. I don't like Gene Cult because I feel like Gene Cult robbed me of Trader Guard. I know that's complete nonsense, but I have this weird thing where I'm like, Games Workshop only have room for one Trader Imperial human faction, and we have stupid bug people. So look, no, they're kind of cool, but not for me.
They give me the like old school like Zapta alien vibe, like we come from another planet, we're here to take us to your leader.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is kind of funny, but yeah, that's cool. Good on them.
And there's more of those Gene Cult coming in Necromunda, where we don't usually pay too close attention to Necromunda. But what I had to say is the new Tyranids in this are cool. Yeah. I would love to see a Gene Cult themed around this, because one of my problems with Gene Cult is every army looks like the miners from Mining Town. I actually really love these Brood Scum models. I think that they'd make for an ambitious hobbyist would make a really cool alternate Gene Stealer Cult army where they use these as the core force, as like more hive scum and gangers than like mining civilians turned.
Our editor made a good point that they kind of look like the race from Star Trek.
Klingons. They look like Klingons.
Mixed with like a ghoul from Fallout.
Yes. Yeah, they've got the Klingon foreheads hugely. But I think they're really cool. I think I would rather see a Gene Cult army using these as the infantry than the regular Gene Cult, because they're just weird and scrappy and I like them. I don't have much interest in any of the Vansar stuff. It kind of reminds me too much of Infinity. It doesn't feel like Warhammer to me. And however, the new Gene Stealers are awesome.
I think this release is cool for Necromunda. I think it was kind of overdue for a new sort of tale to tell. And I think this release is really awesome. And
then we have the second to last thing is tiny tanks, tiny things. And we got some new tanks, a new book, and a new campaign for Titanicus. It's not Titanicus, it's Legions Imperialis. Which again, it's still been on the back burner for me because it never picked up locally. I think it's a really cool game and I hope it gets a lot of support because playing at different scales and the campaigns you can tell and stories you can tell is really cool. The minis looking fine, but they are variants of stuff we've already got. So yeah, pretty cool. But that's just the teaser for what's really coming out, because Mechanicus exist. We have plastic AdMech for Horus Heresy. I've been waiting for plastic AdMech, or have I been? I don't know. I've wanted to create a 30k Mechanicus, Dark Mechanicus army for a long time.
You own some of these models in the Forge World version.
Yeah.
So I think in a way you probably have wanted to do this for a really long time. So now that they're out in plastic, how do you feel about it?
So I'm from that really awkward and sort of tragic era of Horus Heresy where I was gearing up, all hyped up. They used to talk a lot about what they were developing. Before Alan Bly passed, they were talking about this mythical book that was coming out. It was the next Black Book coming out, and it was going to be a book focused on the Dark Mechanicum. It was planned my understanding is this could all be hearsay. My understanding it was planned to have several Dark Mechanicum specific units and really differentiate the Dark Mechanicum and the Mechanicum into two strong factions. So I was kind of priming and gearing up for that book, but holding off waiting for a better understanding of what a Dark Mech roster would look like. What would because I wanted to go late heresy, like what would the crazy Dark Mech stuff. My favorite concept in all of Warhammer is Dark Mech. I'd love to see them realized, but they've never been realized. So I've been holding off, and now this has come out. We've got plastics being cheaper, easy to convert. They're not going out of date anytime soon. They're just coming out. The new tech thralls are awesome. I love their more zombie aesthetic, which makes them feel right in a Dark Mech army.
Yes.
I can imagine painting them looking sickly and all gross and thrown at the enemy. I love them. I'm very tempted to start a Dark Mech army now.
How do you feel about the Magos as well?
The new model, the Arc Magos,
one,
gorgeous. Probably my favorite Magos model from 30 and 40k. It's so cool to see one that isn't like a hunched crab ball with the lump on his back. I love that he's kind of standing up a bit more. Just has a cooler vibe, feels very commanding, less like and more like go there. I mean, that's what he's pointing and doing, but it's a different vibe. I really like it.
Yeah.
Love it. Really excited. Can't wait for you to send us a box, Games Workshop. Come on! And also do some Dark Mechanicus. I think I'm very tempted to paint up the Magos as like a competition entry. Like a high standard paint job.
Yeah, he's very cool.
So Gorgeous Army, if you'd like to see me create for Dark Forge Charybdis proper on the channel, let us know. But that wraps up the reveals.
That was a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Hopefully there was something in there for you guys as well. Was there something that you were looking forward to that maybe did or didn't get shown? I was kind of hoping for Emperor's Children, but I'll have to keep waiting, I see.
And thank you for sharing your journey with these color cubes with us, Jen. I hope you all found that interesting. We've been experimenting with these Tuesday videos. We've also been watching your comments, looking at analytics, and trying to work out how we can make them fit. You recently would have seen our June video, which has gone off and been really good to see. It's been successful and it's been well received. We've mentioned that these Tuesday videos, the idea is that they're going to give us space to do more on our Saturday videos. And while we still have a few Saturday videos coming out that have been made earlier, we're working towards kind of pushing the boundaries again and doing some crazy stuff on Saturdays. But we also want to make sure our Tuesdays are rewarding, watchable, enjoyable videos for everyone. So one of the things we experimented with was, do we just do more of a news show? And I don't know. I don't know how much we love doing it. Every now and then it's cool to chat about a topic, but I think we like doing the hobby. So this week is a good example where Jen just had something she wanted to share. And I think we're going to aim towards having something to share, whether it's some hobby ideas, whether it's a quick project we've done on the side or something we've painted at home.
Maybe it's a game we've played and want to talk about it.
Yeah, so I think it will be sort of like a show and tell with a news section where we can show you some cool stuff and talk about it. And yeah, I hope that's interesting. Again, we keep asking you to put stuff in the comments. What do you think? What's the direction we should go with? And how are you enjoying the videos? So
thank you so much for watching. We have also left a special teaser in this video for an upcoming one that we're going to be working on together. So if you can spot something,
yeah,
let us know.
We're really excited about this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, let us know what you think that could be. And thank you finally to our patrons for all of your support.
Yeah, we really appreciate everything you guys do. If you'd like to join, all of the links will be down in the description below.
Yeah, and finally, affiliate link. Get yourself a color cube.
Or two.
And get us some, sweet affiliate link. We've never ever done an affiliate link before. This is the first affiliate link ever. Make it work for us. I regret doing that.
I found Pokemon cards in Dave's car.
I can also